Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Emma and this channel is all about sewing, mainly hand sewing, and I'm so happy to have you joining me here today. This will be my last video of 2022 and I just can't believe it. Where does the time go? We all always say that, don't we, at this time of year, but it's so true. And it is my last video, but also I'm so excited about this video. Possibly the most excited I've been about any video that I've done this year. So you're in for a real treat. Before we get into that though, I would just like to say a couple of things. First of all, I would like to say a huge, ginormous, heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for the way that you have supported me this year and in previous years. There are some of you that have been with me from the very beginning when I started this channel in April of 2020, and we all know what sort of year that was, don't we? But whether you've been here since then or whether you are a new viewer of this channel, I just can't thank you enough for your support. I often get such lovely comments and messages and emails from so many of you telling me how much you enjoy my channel and what you get from it, but I just can't quite convey how much that I get back from all of you. It is the most incredible thing and it's really difficult to put into words, but just please know that I am so thankful to each and every one of you for your support, and I am super excited about everything that I've got planned and in the works for 2023. There are some really lovely things coming up and I really hope that you're going to enjoy them too. The other big thank you that I would like to mention is to the lovely company Serious Readers, who have very kindly sponsored today's video. Now, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you may have heard me mention Serious Readers before because they very kindly sponsored a number of my videos up to this point, and I just can't thank them enough for that. Their support helps me to keep creating here on YouTube, and I also get to share with you their wonderful products which have really enhanced my sewing. Serious Readers make excellent quality lights that are brilliant for reading but also for crafts in general, and I've been using one of their lights, the high definition light, for the best part of 2022, and I can honestly say that it is the best light that I have ever used in this sewing room, and I could never go back now. The quality of the light is exceptional. I love the way it looks in the sewing room. It's really sleek and modern. It's also quite understated. It doesn't stand out too much. It blends in with my decor and I really love it for that. But the absolute best thing about the light is the light that it emits. They have a technology called daylight wavelength technology that gives off a light that is as close to daylight as possible to create, and because of that it has made sewing in the evenings easier to do. I actually use the light in the daytime as well as in the evenings, but I know that I could not manage without it in the evenings. I couldn't see. A lot of what I do is very tiny stitching using, as you might know, Invisifil thread, and that can be difficult to see, but having a really well illuminated area makes it easier. So using a really excellent light has helped me to keep creating. And if you would like to check out the Serious Readers products, then I'll leave a link below and you can have a look at their range of Serious lights, and if you use the offer code EMMA22 then you get a free compact light, which is really excellent to have in addition. You can put that somewhere else in your house. Great for reading, great for crafting, and also it's worth mentioning that you do get free international shipping, so it actually doesn't matter where you live in the world, you can still get the Serious Readers Serious lights delivered to you. So a huge thank you to Serious Readers for sponsoring this video. Okay, so now we are ready to dive into the main part of today's video, and that is sharing with you the Quilt As You Go project that you, the viewers, have been creating. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, if we backtrack a few videos, I shared my Quilt As You Go hexagon quilt, and I got an overwhelming response to that video from people who wanted to make one too, which was so exciting. But I realised that I wanted to see what people were creating. You can see my project, but I don't get to see your projects very often. So I invited people to share their projects with us. And what they did was submit answers to a few questions, giving some detail about their project, and they also submitted some photographs as well. And I have 15 people to share their projects with you today, and honestly, they are absolutely wonderful. You're going to really enjoy seeing them. So I have my computer all set up here. So I'm going to go through, show you the photographs of each person's project and chat to you a little bit about the information that they provided. And if they have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account that they wanted me to share, I'll put that detail up on the screen so you can see it. And I'll link them as well in the description of the video so you can go and check out those people's pages and you can follow along with their sewing endeavours. So I'm all set up here, I've got my laptop ready and I'm opening up the submissions and I'm ready to share the first one with you. So our first submission is from Anne, and Anne is in Colorado in the USA. And she says that she's been quilting for 45 years. She said that she started this Quilt As You Go project last week. Now, she submitted this a while ago, so I wonder if she's finished now. She might have done. She's using earth tone Christmas fabric, and it is going to be a Christmas tree hexie skirt. What a lovely idea, Anne. Hopefully it will be an heirloom for my children. I'm pretty sure that it will be. I'm using a Gale Pan pattern. I've never heard of Gale Pan, so I'll have to check those out. So let's have a look at her photograph that she sent in. And oh my goodness, I love that, Anne. It's really, really beautiful. I love the earth tone Christmas fabrics. And your embroidery in the centres is really beautiful. I love the hope and the joy and your holly leaves and berries. This is going to be really beautiful. Thank you so much for sending that in. Our next submission is from Dale, and Dale is in Australia. She said she's been sewing and quilting for a very long time. She says that she enjoyed the video about Quilt As You Go, and then a few days later she came across some hexies in an op shop. Serendipity. She came home, went through her stash and found some additional fabrics and started straight away. Then in my latest video I talked about the wonderful response I had to the Quilt As You Go project, and then it made her so happy to be part of the group too. We are really welcome, Dale. Thank you so much for sending in this information. Let's take a look at Dale's photograph and see her project so far. Oh, I love this, Dale. That colour palette and those fabrics, they are right up my street. I love the muted pastel tones and the low volume prints, the tiny florals and the bigger ones too. It's got a real vintagey vibe to it and it's so pretty. Love it, Dale. Thank you so much for sending that in. Our next submission is from Sharon, and Sharon is in England, and she says that she's been sewing in general for 46 years and quilting for 2 years. She says she started her Quilt As You Go Happy Memories quilt just after I released my video, and she's using Kaffe Fassett fabrics, which she loves. It doesn't have any special memory attached to it, it's just the joy of using fabrics that she loves. And I think that is the perfect reason to create a quilt. It doesn't always have to have a memory attached to it, does it? Just quilting for the joy of it and using things you love is really, really special. Let's take a look at her photographs and see. Wow, they're such vibrant prints, really bold and beautiful. That's going to make a really gorgeous quilt. She submitted quite a few photographs, which is really lovely. Look at them all together, layered up. It's going to be a really stunning piece. They're very they're very much like works of art, aren't they? K facet fabrics. Beautiful, beautiful designs. You've got a beautiful collection of prints there. Really wonderful. And look, she's done squares. That's really nice. That's very different. And I love that idea. And I really like the prints that you've chosen to go around the edge. They tie in beautifully with the central prints by just picking out one or two colours. They look perfect. And I think this is going to be really stunning. And here we've got the final photograph, which is a photograph of the back of the quilt, and they're just so striking. It's going to be really, really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So our next submission is from Sarah, and she is in North Carolina in the USA, and she has been quilting for 40 plus years. And she says, I am pulling some fabrics for my Quilt As You Go project now. I was in the middle of another quilt project, which was machine pieced. I'm going to use my fabrics that I have collected for years that are 20s and 30s. Oh, I love 20s and 30s fabrics. She says, I have drawn some small motif that I will hand embroider and maybe cross stitch for the centre of some. I'm very excited and wanted to let you know how much I appreciated your tutorial. Oh, thank you, Sarah. It is really the perfect way to honour the fabrics I've collected for so long. So let's have a look at her photograph. Oh, what a beautiful collection of fabrics. That is going to be a really stunning quilt, Sarah. I absolutely love those 1930s prints, the feedsack prints. They are just so charming, aren't they? I really love that. So I can't wait to see more of that, Sarah. So I didn't mention this before, but we will do another update to the Quilt As You Go project later in the spring and catch up with everybody then if they want to. And I'll share some progress with mine as well. So thank you so much for sending that in, Sarah. So next up we have Joanna and Oshi, and they are from Canada. And I'm really sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong, Oshi. I've never seen that name before. It's a beautiful name. I really hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly. So Joanna says that she's been sewing and quilting for her whole life. She's a costume designer, and Oshi is just trying for the first time. How lovely that you are coming together to make something together, and one person teaching the other. That's so nice. So they say, we are making a super duper goth quilt to celebrate our 3-year anniversary, which is coming up in Feb. Congratulations, how exciting. We are using really bright fabrics against blacks and dark wine red, and we are using pieces of Oshi's black Victorian trench coat that I made him, and also bits from his safety workwear. We are embroidering it with lyrics from his music and occult symbols and goth stuff that he loves. All my happy memories involve Oshi in some way, or sewing, or both, as I've made him many clothes and costumes, even wigs. Oh wow, isn't that amazing? I have never heard of a quilt like that before. That is so interesting, and that is going to be completely unique. Let's have a look at the photograph. How personal and how special to combine everything that he loves and using bits of clothing as well in with the fabric. And look at that colour palette. Isn't that going to be so vibrant and bold and interesting? And the idea of using the embroidery and embroidering lyrics and everything like that, that is just so lovely. What an exciting project. I can't wait to see how that unfolds. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So our next submission is from Darla. She is in Arizona. She's been sewing for over 40 years. She started in the week of the 3rd of October to join the quilt along, and she's decided to use cute novelty types of fabric because she says, I like them so much but don't really know what to make with them. Also want to include cute novelty type of embroidery or applique and incorporate other patterns and designs I find so cute. Thinking I will make one a week sometimes too, and that's a great idea. you can really spread it out, can't you? You can make 1 block or 2 a week. So let's have a look at her photos. I love her ideas for using novelty prints. I think it is a great way to use them because they can become the real centerpiece of each Quilt As You Go block, can't they? Oh, that's such a sweet fabric with the cat on. I love that. I'm a big cat fan. I have a pet cat. I love cats. That's really, really sweet. So thank you so much, Darla, for sharing that. I can't wait to see how that progresses. Okay, let's see who we've got next. Next we have Liz, and Liz is in the UK and she's been sewing and quilting for 40 years. Sewing for 40 years, quilting for over 10 years. And she started this Quilt As You Go project in the first lockdown, and she's using Liberty Lawn for the back and the self-binding, Makoa linen texture for the background, and Liberty Lawn and Art Gallery pure solids for the embellishment. I'm aiming to make at least 200 blocks and I'm about halfway there. How exciting, Liz, that you're going to make such a large quilt and that you've already done 100. That's incredible. And Liz has shared her Instagram, and I actually follow Liz on Instagram. I have done for a long time. And I'll leave the information on the screen and below. You'll love her Instagram page. It's really, really inspiring. So let's have a look at Liz's photographs. My goodness, this is absolutely beautiful. Liz, that is stunning, and I love your embroidery on there as well. Oh, that's just charming, isn't it? Really beautiful. So she had hexagons on the other one, and this one she's put her jewels on, the jewel shape, and with that really pretty embroidery. This is such a beautiful product. Oh, and look at that one. I love that. The little toadstools. And do you notice the fabric that is framing those toadstools? It's Liberty and it's a toadstool print. So she's used the inspiration from the fabric to create her applique on the front, and she's embellished it with beautiful embroidery stitches. That is absolutely stunning. And there's a photograph of lots of her blocks put together, and I recognise those butterflies. They look lovely. I love how you've got one of the butterflies straight and then some of the other ones are at an angle. That just looks so lovely. Lots of interest there. And those colours, they are beautiful, aren't they? The yellows, the blues, the hints of mustard and brown and yellow. Oh, it's just lovely. Really pretty. This is really inspiring me to get cracking with mine. It's so lovely to see everybody's work. Oh, and look, the little house. I recognise that too. And I love your embroidery. And it really does match the fabric that frames the block. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, look, she's used like woodland animal fabric, which is so sweet that they look like Beatrix Potter fabric. I've never seen that fabric before. It's really lovely. And look at her sweet embroidery in the centre. Like a little rabbit or a little mouse. That is absolutely charming. Liz, thank you so much for sharing your lovely project with us. Really pretty. Okay, so our next submission is from Marie, and she's in Australia, and she says she's been quilting for 30 years on and off, and she's used different pansy fabrics from fabric swaps in her Quilt As You Go project. So let's have a look at that. It's nice to use fabrics that you've got from fabric swaps, isn't it? Oh my, isn't that beautiful? I love that it's got a pansy theme to it. Pansies are just such beautiful flowers, aren't they? And those fabrics are really charming. And doesn't it give a lovely effect having the same fabric backing them all? It really does unify it, doesn't it? Really pretty, that, Marie. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Marie has a Instagram page, and I will share the details of that below so you can check out her beautiful work. She does a lot of cross stitch, which is so lovely. So next up we have Kristen, and she's in the USA, and she has been quilting and sewing for 2 years, and she says that she learned EPP from my videos, so that's really lovely. So I said, when did you start your project? She started it shortly after my video, and she says that she's using fabrics from her stash and she's added a few extras along the way, and she's going for a woodsy nature vibe. Well, I love the sound of that. Oh, isn't that beautiful? I love those fabrics, so whimsical, and it really does have a lovely woodsy nature vibe. I love the little foxes and those foxgloves in that print down there. I'm really drawn to that. And I love the toadstools as well, and the moths and the strawberries. I've never ever seen any of those fabrics before. They are really beautiful. I love the colour palette too. I think that's going to be such a lovely quilt, Kristen. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Kristen has an Instagram page as well, and I'll leave details to that. And she shares a lot of things about yarn as well. It looks like a really fun Instagram page. So next we have Melissa, and she is from England, and she has been sewing and quilting for 25 years, since she was very young. So she says, I started this quilt after seeing your video and being inspired to use up some materials and create a quilt that I can add to when I want to. Yes, that's the beauty of the Quilt As You Go, isn't it? Often I start and stop projects and then feel guilty later on when I haven't finished. Yeah, I think a lot of us can resonate with that, Melissa, so don't worry. Please don't feel guilty. Just create what you feel like. That's what I say. She says, this looked like the perfect quilt to me, so I can add to it when I really want to use a particular fabric or do some embroidery. I have one special hexagon on here at the moment. On a walk with my daughter and her granny, we found a winter leaf, which we picked up and carried home. My daughter loved it because it was deep red and very autumnal. I traced around the leaf and embroidered it in order to preserve the memory of this special day. I like the idea of adding to this quilt with embroideries of special objects or days over the years. The materials are all mixed, and I also like the idea that over the years I'll add different materials, perhaps some of my daughter's outgrown clothes or a special piece of cotton I find on holiday. Well, that is just what I think this project is really all about, isn't it? That you can just add to it when you want, and it will evolve and develop over time as you use different things. I think that is such a lovely idea, and I love that you've used something from a really special walk that you've had. And look at this, isn't that absolutely beautiful? So there's her leaf embroidery in the centre, and it's so pretty. The colour palette and all the different fabrics just work so well together, don't they? And I really like, if you look on the right hand side, she's got a block that looks like it's made from smaller hexagons. What a fabulous idea. That's really, really pretty. Oh, and there's the back, and they are just so beautiful, aren't they? That is going to be a stunning quilt, Melissa, with so much personal memory in it. I can't wait to see how that evolves over time. Thank you so much for sending that in. Our next submission is from Jennifer, and she is in Massachusetts in the USA. And she says, a lot of women in her family sew, and they all took turns teaching her what they knew from an early age. So isn't that lovely that those skills have been passed down from generations? So about her project, she says, my gran passed away last year after a long battle with Alzheimer's. She lived with us for 13 years, and I'm happy to have had that special time with her. I inherited a lot of her sewing things, so this will be my happy memories with Gran Quilt. I love hexagons, so I think I will keep with the size and shape recommended. I want to use as many of the fabrics and vintage embroideries she had that I can, and others that will work well with those. I have a little stash of fabric myself, so I will be raiding that as well. I hope to have better pictures of my selection soon. And she says she's a bit new to posting pictures, but she's really itching to get started with this project. So let's have a look at her photograph. Wow, what a beautiful collection of fabrics. I love the tiny floral prints and also the larger ones too. They are really, really pretty. I'm so sorry to hear that your gran passed away, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think this quilt is going to be so special, and I love that you're calling it the Happy Memories with Gran quilt. That just made me feel so emotional. Quilting can be such a cathartic thing, can't it, where it can really help us get through difficult things like grief. So I'm really glad that you have this to work on to help you remember your Gran. Thank you so much for sending it in, and I hope to see some progress next time we do one of these videos and see how you've got on with it. I think your fabric collection looks just perfect for this. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so our next submission is Mary, and she's from the USA. She said that she has started sewing quilting when she was a little girl 60 years ago, but really enjoys what she's been sewing for the last 6 years. So Mary says, I started this quilt right after your video came out. I'm making it for my daughter. She is knitting me a sweater. I love small, delicate flower pastel prints for this project. I am adding applique and embroidery to some of the hexes. I'm using my scraps and have lots of different ones to pick from. I am adding a little house to represent my daughter's home and animals to represent her animals that she loves. She is also a crafter, so I will try to add some either in applique or embroidery. She loves to knit. So how lovely that you're making this for your daughter and she's making you something as well. That's just so special, isn't it? It's really nice when you have someone who appreciates handmade things that you can make things for. That house is so sweet. I love the fabrics you've chosen and the colours, and it is just such a lovely detail. Really, really pretty. Let's see Mary's next photograph. Oh, isn't that beautiful? I just love those fabrics. You definitely have a similar taste to me, Mary. Pastel floral prints, and I love the little hexagon flower in the middle. What a pretty quilt this is going to be. And look at them together. That really is charming. Your hand-stitched details are so special, Mary. Your daughter is going to absolutely love that quilt. She's very lucky to receive that. Thank you so much for sending it in. Our next submission is from Dawn, and she's in Vancouver in Canada, and she's been quilting and sewing since she was a little girl. She says, I have a community social stitching group. I've been wanting to make a hexagon quilt for a while, but couldn't quite commit to it. After watching your video, I thought a quilt as you go project would be perfect for the group. Oh wow, so you're making this as a group. I love that. We've made a start and I love how it looks so much that I've decided I'll be making a personal one as well, starting it in the new year, with each block exploring a different embroidery stitch or other technique. I'm planning to share my progress on my YouTube channel. Well, I'll put a link to her YouTube channel and I'll share the details. But how lovely that they're making one as a group and she's going to make one for personal use as well. And oh, isn't that lovely? Really, really beautiful. There's so many different fabrics there, and I love the one that has a pieced backing to it. That's really interesting, and what a brilliant way to use up scraps. That has given me some ideas. I hadn't thought about doing something like that before. I really love that, so I'll enjoy to see how that project continues. Thank you so much for sending that in, Dawn. And the last one is from Susan, and she is in South Africa. She's been sewing quilting for 40 years. I love South Africa. It has a special place in my heart. I visited twice when I was a teenager. So Susan says she started last year and needs to use her scrappy special fabrics that she's collected over the years. She also has some embroidery threads that she needs to use, and she shared her Instagram, and also she has a blog. So I will share the details to that so you can follow along with what she's creating. Unfortunately, there's been an issue with the photograph that it wouldn't let me open it. So I'm really sorry about that, Susan. So I'm really sorry, Susan, but your photograph, it wouldn't open for me. I don't know whether there's a problem with it or what's happened, but it just wouldn't. It says it could not be opened. It may be a damaged file. So I'll try to get into contact with you, but I will share your blog below and people can have a look at your work there. But thank you so much for sending in your information. So that's it. That's the end of today's video and the end of my last video for 2022. I'd like to say an absolutely huge thank you to everybody who has shared their work with us today. It's difficult to share photographs online. I still struggle with it all the time, so thank you for being really brave and sending in your work. It has been so inspiring. I've loved seeing each and every one, and hopefully in the springtime, maybe late spring, we can do another video like this where more people can join if you want to and show us your Quilt As You Go projects, and anyone who's made some progress and wants to update us with that can send in some more photos of their quilts, and I'll share information about that nearer the time. So have a wonderful festive season, however you're spending it. Stay safe and healthy. Have a great new year, and I'll see you in 2023. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye bye.